I was very glad to be back in church on Sunday and very privileged when Reverend Chris asked me to do one of the readings for the service. And the reading was the story of the workers in the vineyard. I think it's a parable that everyone's very familiar with. Workers are engaged and employed at different times of the day, but at the end of the day, they're all paid the same, irrespective of how long they've been working. And some people think that this is unfair, and indeed some of the people in the story felt it was unfair that those who'd been working all day were paid the same as those who'd worked only a few hours. But the keeper of the vineyard insists that he is quite right to act as he does. The message of this story is very similar to that of the prodigal son, of a loving and forgiving God, always ready to welcome us back to him, no matter how we may have erred and strayed from his pathways. And sometimes we're presented with this idea of God as loving and forgiving as something that's found only in the New Testament. Sometimes the Old Testament God is presented to us as wrathful and vengeful, and very different from this picture of God. And of course, the Bible presents us with many theological complexities and many different ideas for us to consider and weigh, and for us to think about and exercise our right of private judgment. But the picture of God as loving and forgiving is frequently found in the Old Testament. For instance, the prophet Jeremiah puts it this way in chapter 31. "This is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, declares the Lord. I will put my law within them, and I will write it on their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And no longer shall each one teach his neighbour and each his brother, saying, 'Know the Lord,' for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest, declares the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more." So that is God's covenant with us, his promise to us, forgiving and loving. And what part do we play in this? Well, if God has a covenant with us, our part is our commitment to him, our commitment to our faith, our commitment to one another, our commitment to sharing in worship, to attending church together, and to going about the ministry of all believers in the way that we all do, sharing in the work of ministry by using the talents God has given us in the service of one another.